Hello, I am talking to Yeves Perez, one of my favorite founders from
Hey,
Workbnb. Hey, what's up?
how you doing? It's good to see you again.
Good. Just saw you at FounderCon. I see you
Yes,
online every single day, and now you're here. So I really appreciate it.
thank you. My schedule is crazy, but I am so happy to be here.
That's awesome. So for those people that don't know Workbnb and they haven't seen us talk about it on LinkedIn, what are you currently doing? Tell me about your company and when you found it.
Yeah, all right. So we founded in 2021 and we found a gap in the travel space. So the product that we're building is an indirect competitor app to platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, but it's just for traveling workers. And what we have identified in the market is that when employers cannot find safe and decent housing for their workers that travel or their just to do their jobs, the alternative is living in hotels and motels for months. And, you know, this has caused a lot of pain for the companies because there's record retirement. People are aging and they're retiring. And when you're trying to get younger people to get into the workforce to do jobs like construction or, journeyman lineman type jobs, climbing power lines, yes, the pay is great, but the accommodations are still terrible. So when a 20-year-old is being, told to stay in the same motels that his father was complaining about, they just quit. And we know it as the great resignation. So there has just been record quitting throughout all kinds of industries, and construction was one of them. I was exposed to this through my mom. That's my story. My mom had vacation rentals in Reno, Nevada, and I had experience in marketing and advertising, and she asked me to help grow her business. And at the time, she wasn't paying attention that Tesla was building a gigafactory. And she was also not paying attention that workers were staying at her rentals because they didn't want to stay at the hotels where the other workers were staying. So I looked at her bookings for 2 years, and the bookings were just telling me that there was this opportunity if we change the vernacular first. So instead of calling them vacation rentals, we call them workforce rentals. And that fit for them in the marketing. And the demand just took off. And within like 8, 9 months, I helped scale up her business to over 45 rentals, and she became the largest rental operator in Northern Nevada. There was this opportunity, and I had to build a product for it. So that's where we're
That's
at.
so smart. Is your target audience the actual workers or is it the companies that are employing the workers?
Yeah, so the worker is just the end user because they don't get to choose where they stay, and that's why they quit because it's like, yeah, I get this great job, but it feels like your employer doesn't care. Okay. Especially, and I don't know if you've heard of this problem, but some motels and hotels have bed bug problems. And imagine being on site for a construction site, let's say for like 11 months, and your room is infested with bed bugs. Well, what do? You go and you complain to your boss. Well, your boss is busy. Okay, well, what do? Like, you either go spend your own money and stay somewhere else, or, you try to find a better job that's going to treat you better. And people are opting for better jobs. So, especially with how much work is going on in construction. The US government passed a $1.3 trillion infrastructure investment act that's causing millions of construction workers to travel over the next 10 years. So they have plenty of like opportunity to go from one company to another. But again, housing is just like looked at as like a benefit, what company is going to put me in better housing? So uh, companies are using WorkBee as like a recruiting tool.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you have this great idea. You start your own company. What made you decide that you wanted to join an accelerator?
Oh, so I mean, the thing is, like, you could have the best idea in the world. I mean, the best. It's great. You got clients, you got revenue, all that type of stuff. But what you realize is that building a business, it's not always about what you know. Sometimes it's about who you know. And in my little town of Reno, Nevada, I was not getting the type of support that I needed. I needed introductions. I needed to, make connections. You can only wear all the hats in the company for so long. The marketing, the finance, the this, the that, like it's crazy what it takes to build a business. So when you don't have support and even mentorship available to understand what you're doing, it's easy to fall into fatigue and then collapse. And then you want to quit because you're not having any fun. Okay. I wanted to join an accelerator. I tried to join a local accelerator in Nevada. And one thing that happened to me, and it happens to a lot of Black and Brown founders, is that we get overlooked. And I was overlooked. I went to the accelerator with my traction, with my client in hand, revenue in hand, building a product. And they didn't think that I was going to make it. And when somebody doesn't believe, what you want to naturally do is fight for your opportunity to prove them wrong. And that was my opportunity to explore other options. But luckily, another Techstars founder needed my services. And he was telling me, you know what, I think you'd be great for Techstars. And the rest is history.
And we lucked out. And I hope those people are really mad at themselves for
Well,
passing up.
here's what's funny. Here's what's funny. As I was getting ready for demo day, their program manager called back and he said, "Listen, I just want to apologize. We slept on you." Those are his words. And we would like to at least consider an investment in WorkBnB because as Nevada investors, we do believe in what you're building and we would like to just at least consider investment. So, you know, I was going through like typical founder emotions, like, oh, I don't think I want your money. But then, my mentors were like, listen, don't take it personal. Let them come back. They apologized. Consider taking the investment. So right now I'm in that process of finishing that up and taking at least a check from them.
I'm so glad they took that advice because I think they are literally putting their money where their mouth is and they
Right.
messed up and they're coming back
Right.
to you. So that's really,
Yeah.
that shows also growth, on your part. That's amazing. So, okay. So you're in Techstars, you're doing your accelerator. What is the number one thing? You can only pick one right now. What's the number one thing that you learned during your accelerator that you may not have learned if you hadn't gone through a Techstars accelerator?
Discipline. Discipline. I mean, it's like Techstars, and I have to give it up for my managing director, Trey Baker. I mean, he instilled discipline. A lot of times you get asked to commit to programming, right? But the lure of shiny objects can take you out of that programming. Oh, somebody called, or oh, I have to do these emails. I'm not going to show up, right? He just got us to understand that we're going into a recession, and that's where we are now, right? And the most disciplined founders execute the most. And I really tuned into that and I focused on that so that during like the craziness of mentor madness, right? 2 weeks, Zoom calls, 5, 6 Zoom calls a day. I was disciplined enough to analyze the feedback that I was given, and I recognized a big opportunity to create more revenue in my business. And if I was not disciplined, I would have missed that opportunity. So right now, the value proposition of what we're doing is incredibly irresistible to clients when they hear about it. We're earning more revenue, and I owe it to Trey Baker and Techstars.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm definitely going to have to share this with him. He's going to love to hear that. Yeah, Trey's great. So you
Trey's the
mentioned,
man. Trey's
yeah,
the man.
he really is. So you mentioned your managing director, Trey, you mentioned the mentors. Tell me more about the network that you experienced and how you grew your network when you were in the program.
It's night and day. So, for example, I'm in B2B, okay? And B2B is unsexy. It's just not sexy. B2B is, consumer products have all the fun. They get to make all the fun stuff and do all the fun things. But, you're talking to individuals, right? Talking to a corporation is like there's levels, there's certain, and then there's gatekeepers, right? You can't just walk into Google and whatever. So immediately getting into Techstars, all of a sudden, it's like the doors just fling open. Oh, I'm going to introduce you to this CEO, or I'm going to introduce you to that CEO. And by the way, your meeting is tomorrow, or can you take a call with this guy in 2 days from now? Whereas before, it would take 3 months to meet with somebody, right? So as I was going through programming, I was getting connected more than ever. And here's where the difference lies. While I was in Reno, I had maybe 3 introductions made. Okay. So I was building from April 2021, and I started to drift away out of Reno around February of the next year, 2022. So within that period of time, I had 3 intros made. While I was at Techstars for 3 months, I had over 200 introductions made.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And
Like,
it's so funny
it's night and
too.
day.
It's night and day. And
Night
it's
and
funny
day.
too, because so you recently came to FounderCon, I got to meet you there. And before I went, I asked a few founders, I asked a few people in our network, I asked a few Techstars employees, like, who should I interview? And your name came up multiple times. So yes, because of you being with us, 200, yes, but also because of who you are. You're
Yeah.
like, you're just magnetic. And one of the things that you said earlier, like, B2B is boring. But then there's you, because you just put out a commercial the other day that I watched, and there was
Yeah.
nothing boring about it. And so I
Yeah.
think having your spark and your non-boringness that you put
Yeah.
in what you do is what makes you such a great CEO.
Well, thank you. Well, one thing is, like, I'm very passionate about what I do. And I think that's something that a lot of tech founders struggle with is, I have a great idea, and it's going to be very fun to build, but you're not just building a product, you're building a company. So you have to be really connected with your purpose and your why. And, again, these workers are people who make our society work. Like, we have power to do these Zoom calls because some guy is willing to climb up the power pole when there's a problem. And think of floods, fires, hurricanes. Like, sometimes you have to be rescued. And these people, they go and do their job. And I'm just very clear about who I serve. And it feels good to work hard for people who work hard for my family and my friends. And, the other thing is, a lot of us know people who have friends or family that do these jobs too. So, it's something that just, it's so clear to me that I get up every single day energized to keep moving the needle.
Yeah. Talking about energy, before we started recording, we're talking about your road show that you're on where you're pitching every day.
Yeah.
Tell me about your New York pitch, because I think that was really cool. I'd love the listeners to learn about what happened in New York.
Yeah. So raising in a recession is hard. I mean, it's hard. The rules have changed. A few years ago, it was easier to raise. You could have very little traction. The conditions were different. So now investors want traction. They want clarity on the business model. They want great product roadmaps and a lot of different things. And that's hard to convey in the traditional way of meeting investors, like going on their website and applying and then waiting for a Zoom call. And then you got this short Zoom call. And it's just hard to really get the message across. So pitching is the old school way, right? An elevator pitch or being in person and they're like, go ahead, pitch me, right? You can convey, but you can also captivate them so much that you can get them to ask smart questions, which will lead you to an investment decision. So I was contacted by Rohan Brown and Megan Turner. Rohan is with Google for Startups and a few other organizations. And they came up with this concept called Road Pitch. And it is incredible. It's like a road show where it's the concept is like The Amazing Race meets Shark Tank. It's 5 cities in 5 days, but it's 3 pitches per day in different locations. So the show started in Boston, then New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and we end in DC. Right now, I'm in Philadelphia getting ready to go on stage. I just did 2 pitches already, a morning pitch and an afternoon pitch. And then we end with the evening pitch. But the evening pitches are really exciting because it's a pitch competition. So it's us who are on the tour, 5 founders. And then we pitch against 5 local founders for prizes and recognition. So a really great founder won the Boston contest, but then I came through and won the New York contest. So, hey, and what was so great is that it was in front of the tech ecosystem of New York. And I was up against some really great New York founders that had really great tech. I mean, one of them was an AI machine learning company that does this really cool tech with eye retina, something like that. But it was very advanced. He had already raised 900,000 in a pre-seed. But again, we're being judged for several things. The judging is not just on the founder, it's your business model. They judge on your business model. They judge on your traction. They judge on your delivery. And they judge on a few other categories. But one of the things about my pitch that I brought is the mind blow. And if you remember my demo day pitch in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I shoot off confetti when I do the mind blow. So the confetti pop cannon went everywhere and everybody's like, oh my gosh. But again, it's storytelling. I'm telling a story that there's a gap in the travel market, that all these big names that booking.com, they're not focused on this. They're focused on white collar business travel, conventions and business meetings. That's where all of their attention is. The blue collar workers are being underserved. So when that confetti goes off, then I deliver the why you should care. And I captivate your attention with this strategy. It's a storytelling, a concept. Well, actually, there's 8 different ones, but the one I chose is called The Mountain. You take people on a little climb where you get here and then you get here, and your hunches keep adding up to something big. But then it snowballs once you go down the mountain. It's my favorite storytelling style. So I'm just excited to keep pitching. And even though I'm fatigued, and I have to drink water so I stay hydrated. And right now I'm a little sleep deprived. I only had 4 hours of sleep last night before we had to get up and get on a train to get to Philly. I'm energized to bring the same pitch and win Philadelphia tonight. Like that's, and I want to close it out. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited for you, not just for the pitch, but just for your future, because you're just going to take off. Investors are already looking at you. It's amazing
Yeah,
what you're doing.
yeah, yeah,
I'd like to
yeah.
close off with one question about Techstars, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Because, I want others to get success like yours, and I want others to learn from you. So if you were talking to a founder that was on the fence about joining a Techstars accelerator, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that you need to get out of your way. You have to be decisive, okay? And think about not what you have to go through as far as an accelerator program. You need to do what it takes to make your company successful. You have people who are depending on you. You have clients that are depending on you. You have future clients that are depending on you. So if you really believe in what you're doing, you have to embrace being uncomfortable. Just embrace it. Go and get what you need to grow. The 0 to 1 is the hardest, right? But I got to tell you, once you get to that from 0 to 1 and you get to where like startups like mine are at, the 1 to 5 is fun. Like this is where the action is. Like the clients calling you like nuts because they're just like, I heard about you and I want to sign up. And it just snowballs. So again, like you just got to get going. So if you're on the fence, get off, get out of your way, get the company in and go to work. Challenge yourself to focus on the information that is being given to you, the discipline that's being bestowed upon you, the people that care that you win. They're calling. I mean, Mentor Madness is just a ton of people who care. And then you get to put something that I think was the most critical thing that changed. I mean, it just changed a lot. You get to be an alum. You get to put the Techstars name in your bio on your website. And it says to the investors that you have been vetted, that you have been screened, that you are trustworthy to focus on what you're going to do, and that you're having support to get a job done, which is provide a product, right? Or a service. And that validation carries through not only to the investors, but to the clients too. Clients have more confidence in you. And that's my experience.
Promise last question. I know I said that for the last question, but this is the last question. What is your secret sauce? Let me ask that again. What is your secret sauce?
Be yourself. Be yourself. Just be yourself. You don't have to be anybody than you. Like, I'm kind of eccentric, and I decided that I was just going to be myself. I went to Techstars with my typical Yeves Perez swag, cheetah print shirts, and I wear sunglasses. I do my thing. But here's why I say this. It's because I don't spend any more energy anymore. I don't spend the energy worried about what people think. I spend it on the business. And what people are looking for is execution, that you get one thing done and then another thing done and another, and that takes energy. So if you just be yourself, you're going to put all that energy into getting things done. And I got to tell you, it doesn't matter what it is. whether it's a press release, whether it's a product update, whether it's an Instagram post or sending, an email or making a meeting on time. If you're putting all your energy into doing those things consistently, week after week, and again, you're not like burned out because again, your attention is focused on like fitting in or looking a certain way, you're going to get stuff done. And that's the magic. That's the secret sauce right there. So I hope, founders really just embrace being themselves, having fun, kick ass, take names.
Great advice. And we love your energy. We love your secret sauce. We love what you're doing. So keep that up and have fun tonight and good luck. Hopefully you win the next competition too.
I have this philosophy. I just want to share this. You know how people do word of the year? This is my word of the year. That's my word of the year. My word of the year is dominate. Dominate. Just dominate in everything I do. Even in our company, we did an analysis of what all the competition is doing, and we decided to dominate in the things that they're not doing. So if they're not dominating in customer success, we dominate in customer success. If they're not doing so well in customer service, we dominate in customer service. If they're not so great at like advertising, we came up with our commercial and we made sure it was something that they don't do. In the travel tech space, nobody likes to do funny commercials. So we did a funny commercial. And even when it comes to my LinkedIn, if they only post like once a month or once a quarter, I post all the time because the word of the year is dominate. And the only way to get to the next level is to dominate.
I'm ending that here. That was amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time again.
Thank you. I really am just so grateful. I appreciate you. And I appreciate Techstars. Thank you.